Welcome in everyone to Flyover Footy, presented by Noble Ice Vineyards. My name is Matt Baker, here for another midweek edition where we look at city news and give an MLS roundup looking at some of the top matches from this past week and give a big picture of how other teams around St. Louis City SC are performing, especially in the Western Conference. But first, let's start off with some city news. Since our last recording, Celio Pompeu signed a new contract extension. On Friday, April 26th, St. Louis City SC announced that midfielder Celio Pompeu had signed a new contract with the club that goes until 2026 with the option for 2027. Celio said, quote, "I'm excited to continue my career in St. Louis. I'm thankful to Hack and Lutz for believing in me from the start at City 2 and to Bradley for allowing me to prove myself at the MLS level. I can't wait to continue to grow here and show the St. Louis fans why I am here." Celio, of course, has been with City organization since day one of City 2. He has 3 goals and 3 assists through 9 matches this year and is on a 4-game point streak with 2 goals and 3 assists in his last 4 matches. Sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel said, "We are proud to see Celio's growth through our pipeline. He has grown as a professional both on and off the field, and to reap the rewards with a new contract was something he worked really hard for. Celio continues to elevate his game each and every day, and we hope that he doesn't stop raising the bar." On Tuesday, we were able to go to St. Louis City training, and we have some notes for the midweek and kind of the first week, or the first day rather, that St. Louis was training this week. Sam Adeniran was again a full participant in training as he was last week. More on him in just a moment. Edu Leuven and Jabulu Blom were working to the side doing sprints and pivots before heading inside about a third of the way through open training that we saw. Chris Durkin was missing from training, and Bradley Carnell had this to say about Chris Durkin.
He got it in the City 2 game. He just never backs down. That's just his work ethic and character. I love it, So it's really good. He wanted to be out today. We told him to take an extra day, and we'll monitor tomorrow. So, I don't think it's anything too drastic. Just trying to get the swelling down and get him, structurally wise, it's all good, I believe.
With Chris Durkin out, Akil Watts played a larger role in training during drills, taking Durkin's spot as the team trained with small field drills, working on some quick passing and retaining some of that possession before opening it up a little bit more. Returning to Sam, he spoke to the media after training and spoke on returning to his teammates and how interactions with them were, whether there were any awkwardness or if he had to prove anything after being away for a little bit.
Didn't accept me. They always accepted me, So, I don't really think there was really any much of a reintegration, I've been here for past 2 seasons. I've done my job, I'd say, pretty good. So, and I think others would say that as well. So,
Do you feel like you have anything to prove coming back since stepping away?
No, not really. My resume speaks for itself, so.
Sam also discussed playing Houston in his first game back with the club.
It's my hometown, so to be able to play in front of my family is important to me. So yeah, definitely it's gonna be fun. So.
Sam went on to comment on what he's done to get back, saying, "Nothing really. I did my job here for the team and did what I was supposed to do." On what happened, Sam just said, "I don't want to get too much into that. I want to focus on our next game. The past is the past, and you kind of have to leave stuff in the past." Sam did say that he hasn't gone through anything like this before, saying, quote, "Consistently doing my job has gotten me to where I am today. I'm focused on doing my job and helping the team," end quote. Bradley Carnell spoke on Sam as well, reiterating his statements last week that, quote, "Sam is back, he's training." Carnell said the only clarification on what happened were internal conversations that they had. Carnell said on Sam performing, quote, "I don't see any cause for concern there. We're pros in this industry, no concerns whatsoever." Interestingly enough, Carnell did comment on Sam's availability, saying, quote, "He was always available. If he's training with the team, he's available," end quote. And Bradley Carnell, on how St. Louis City can maintain their good form after a bye week, talked about the benefits to their scrimmage this past week.
Good. That's why we play against ourselves, against a City 2 team that's firing on all cylinders, doing really well. We see a real bunch of hungry guys wanting to take our jobs, essentially, right? And that's what we saw. It was fun. It was a great exercise. Kept us honest, kept us physical, kept the minutes under the belt for the guys who haven't really accrued them lately. So we saw this as very beneficial on multiple fronts because we had some guys carrying a few knocks and everything. So, we were able to rest a few guys and we were able to get the guys very, very intense minutes, 60 minutes at that for that group. So it was really good.
Pivoting to MLS action, it's an interesting week across the landscape with the Philadelphia Union and the Seattle Sounders picking up an abandoned game due to weather this week. And in addition, the Columbus Crew are in action in CONCACAF Champions Cup as the only remaining MLS side. It was a relatively low-scoring week this week across MLS, with the notable exception and highlight being Inter Miami's 4-1 win in front of a record crowd in Foxborough, Massachusetts. But let's look at 5 matches that impact City a little more directly, mostly in the Western Conference. First off, Austin FC 2, LA Galaxy 0. Austin FC continued their good run of form with their 4th win in their last 5 matches and finally stopped the LA Galaxy, who suffered only their 2nd shutout of the season and ending a 2-game win streak of their own. Goals were scored by Diego Rubio, who scored his club-leading 3rd goal of the year just 7 minutes into this one, followed quickly by Hader Obrian with his 2nd of the year at 19 minutes. Those proved to be the difference makers. It was a game notable for the overall advantage the Galaxy seemed to have and the few moments that Austin took advantage of to pull this one out. The Galaxy took possession 53-47. They took advantage in shots 17-9, but Austin FC equaled them on shots on target 5-5 and just about on XG 1-0.9. Austin continues to climb, up to 7th now with 4 wins in their last 5 after starting off the season winless in their first 5. The LA Galaxy were finally knocked off their first place pedestal, giving way to the next team we'll talk about, Real Salt Lake, who won against the Philadelphia Union 2-1. RSL continued their impressive start to the year, now has a 2-game winning streak, while the Union suffered their first loss of the season. This means that St. Louis City SC, coming out of their bye week, are now tied for the fewest losses in all of MLS with 1. Goals in this game were scored by Andres Gomez, who kicked it off at the 34-minute mark with his 4th goal of the year. Then RSL took a 1-0 lead into half in Chester, Pennsylvania. Daniel Gazdag then equaled it for the Union at 50 with his club-leading 5th goal of the year before Alexandros Katranis scored his 2nd goal of the year at 89 that would prove to be the match winner for RSL. Possession in this one was near even with RSL having 51%. The Union had the shots and shots on target advantage at 15-9 and 5-4, but it was RSL who were able to take 2 crucial moments in this game before half and before full-time stoppage and turn them into the difference makers. RSL, as I said, now moves into first place in the West with 18 points, holding the tiebreaker over the Galaxy, while the Union fall to 7th place in the East on 13 points. The next matchup, DC United 2, Seattle Sounders 1. DC found 3 points for the first time in 4 matches, while Seattle, continuing their free fall, lost their 5th match in only 9 games played. DC managed this one with a come-from-behind brace from Christian Benteke, but it started with a Leo Chu goal at 14 minutes for Seattle. And then the big story of the game occurred at 28 minutes when DC United played a ball high and long to our old friend Jared Stroud in the penalty box. As Stroud went to collect the ball and play it to goal, Sounders goalkeeper Stefan Fry tackled Jared Stroud with his arms and drew a hard red card. Christian Benteke then converted the PK at 32, and after collecting another goal at 45, moved into a tie for 2nd place in the Golden Boot standings of MLS. This one went into half 2-1, and that's also how it would end. It wasn't just going down a man that did Seattle in, though. DC United's pressure and persistence gave them momentum throughout, as they had the 2nd highest amount of possession all season to go along with outshooting Seattle 13-12 and outshooting them in shots on goal 6-5. DC stays on the right side of the playoff line in 8th place in the East, while Seattle remains 2nd to last in the West, having just 6 points through 9 games. Next, we look at Minnesota United Sporting KC, and Minnesota United pulled this one out 2-1. It was a match now made infamous by Peter Vermees, the sporting director and head coach of Sporting Kansas City, who showed up to the post-match press conference with a tablet and claims of an offside that wasn't called, as he showed an off-centered screenshot and produced the greatest meme template we've seen so far in 2024. Sporting lost this one early, though, as Michael Boxall scored his 1st of the season for Minnesota just 2 minutes in off a corner kick, and Tani Oluwese followed at 25 with his club-leading 4th goal of the year. This goal would prove to be the difference, as Sporting was only able to muster an Alan Pulido 38-minute goal of their own. Sporting took 58% of the possession in this one, but if you ask Peter Vermees, the takeaway seemed to be squarely on that 2nd goal by Minnesota United and the positioning that came on a non-offside call, as he came armed with that tablet evidence at the presser. Minnesota moves into a tie with Vancouver for 3rd place in the West with 17 points, while Sporting KC drops to 10th and remains 1 point behind St. Louis City. Finally, we look at LAFC 3, Portland Timbers 2. LAFC picks up their 4th win of the year and has now gone unbeaten in 4 games, while Portland now has gone 7 games without a win and hasn't won a match since week 3 against NYCFC. Things took a while in this one, but when it rains, it pours, and it started at 44 minutes with a Kamal Miller own goal by Portland to give LAFC the lead, which was doubled just 5 minutes later before halftime at 45+4 first half stoppage with a Timothy Tillman goal from Christian Oliveira. It was Tillman's 4th goal on the year, and that's good for 2nd on LAFC. Going into half 2-0, it would go, but Portland came back strong with Jonathan Rodriguez at 65 with his second of the year and Santiago Moreno at 73 with his third of the year. Then disaster struck for Portland at 76 minutes when, while breaking the MLS record for most starts with a single team, his 377th career start, Diego Chara was given a second yellow after grappling with Edward Atuesta at midfield and sent off. Denny Bawanga added a 90+2 goal in stoppage to take all 3 points for LAFC. Momentum leaned LAFC's throughout, with Portland's biggest chances coming in the second half before Chara was sent off. LAFC outshot them 20-10 and 10-5 en route to their fourth win of the year. LAFC moves to 5th in the West, and Portland falls to 11th with 10 points, just 2 behind St. Louis City SC. After not playing this past weekend, St. Louis sits in 9th place, just below their upcoming opponent, Houston Dynamo, who are in 8th place. St. Louis is tied for 8th in the West with 15 goals scored. They're 8th in the West for fewest goals allowed with 14, and tied 6th in the West with a +1 goal differential. Looking across the landscape of MLS and how your conferences are breaking out, in the East, Miami, Cincinnati, New York, and Toronto head up that conference with 21 points, 18, 17, and 16 respectively. In the West, it's Real Salt Lake with 18 that leads the conference. LA Galaxy tied at 18 points with them, but down on goal differential. Vancouver follows in third place. Minnesota United follows right behind them, tied with 17 points each. It's then LAFC, Colorado Rapids, Austin FC, Houston Dynamo, and St. Louis City to round out the teams currently sitting in playoff position in the Western Conference. A look at your stat leaders through and where St. Louis City stacks up in MLS after this match week that St. Louis had a bye. With matches now being uneven throughout the league, we're going to look at stats per 90 for the time being on this show, starting with shots per 90 minutes, where St. Louis City is still second in all of MLS with 16.11 shots per 90 minutes, only behind LAFC. Shots on target per 90, though, St. Louis falls to 12th in MLS. Looking at XG per 90, City is 11th, and in non-penalty XG per 90, City is 13th. Now, as the season goes on, this stat becomes a little more useful as it allows us to trend over time, while St. Louis's shot taking is, whereas each game can fluctuate wildly, leading to this being more useful as time progresses. Other interesting league-wide stats are that City is second in the number of crosses taken behind only DC United, is 8th in the number of corner kicks, second in key passes per 90 behind LAFC, and they lead the league in the number of passes into the penalty area per 90 minutes. And there you have it. Key games, key takeaways, notes and news from City practice, and perspective for where City sits after their 9 matches played in MLS and coming out of their bye week. Be sure to tune into our live stream Thursday night for the Houston Dynamo preview, or catch the podcast out on Friday morning, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for tuning into this midweek edition of Flyover Footy. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, podcast, leave us 5-star ratings and reviews. It really helps us out. And until next time, go City.